Good evening. Good evening. Before we begin our meeting this evening, Ty Wilson, a sixth grade student at R.K. Smith Middle School, would like to offer a moment of reflection, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Mr. Sonny Savoy. Please stand.
Heavenly Father, we are meeting tonight to conduct matters of business. Guide our hearts and our minds in the spirit of fairness, so that we can make sound and personal decisions on behalf of the students, parents, and employees of the St. Charles Parish Public School System. Impart your supreme wisdom upon our activities so that our affairs may reach a successful conclusion. Thank you for being our source of guidance tonight. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Ty, for that moment of reflection, and best wishes to you during your sixth grade year at R.K. Smith. The meeting of the Board of St. Charles Parish Public Schools for Wednesday, September 19th, 2018 is called to order. Good evening and welcome. All board members are present, so Madam Secretary, would you please note for the record that we have all board members in attendance. Also in attendance this evening is our Superintendent, Felicia Gomez Walker, and our Executive Secretary for the Board and Superintendent, Mrs. Shelley Babineau. First item on the agenda is item 2.01, United Way Month Proclamation. And I asked Mr. Art O'Quinn if he would present that proclamation, please.
I'd be honored, Mr. President. United Way Month Proclamation. Whereas on October 4th, 2018, United Way of St. Charles will officially begin its annual campaign to raise funds to meet vital health and human service needs for St. Charles Parish. And whereas the mission of this organization is to advance with member agencies the health and human service agenda of St. Charles Parish by expanding resources and applying them effectively to meet community needs. And whereas hundreds of volunteers have come together each year in St. Charles Parish to participate in raising the needed funds through their annual campaign. And whereas these funds are used to touch the lives of thousands of people through such programs as disaster relief, rehabilitation and counseling for the mentally and physically disabled, and special programs for the youth and elderly. And whereas the widespread public support of the human service organization funded by the United Way of St. Charles Parish makes St. Charles Parish a better place for all its citizens. And whereas the St. Charles Parish School Board wishes to join the great people of St. Charles Parish to live united, to care about continuing to improve our quality of life by supporting the United Way of St. Charles. Now therefore be it resolved that the members of the St. Charles Parish School Board do hereby proclaim the month of October as United Way Month in the St. Charles Parish Public School System. And I so move.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. O'Quinn, seconded by Mr. Robichaux. Any discussion?
Mr. Suffren and board members, tonight we have Tamara Platzmeyer from United Way to share a few words with you.
Thank you. Thank you all so much for your support to the United Way and giving us this proclamation and recognizing our great community and the service that we can provide through donor dollars. I also just wanted to encourage everyone to come out on Thursday, October the 4th to the Battle for the Paddle. It'll be held at the Judge Edward Dufresne Community Center Thursday, October 4th from 3 to 7:30. It's $5 to enter. Last year we had over 160 teams compete and close to 7,000 people attend, so we're hoping that we have those same numbers this year, and great weather, and it's a fun, family-friendly event, and at the same time you're raising money that'll go to a good cause. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, Ms. Platzmeyer. there's no other discussion, please cast your vote. That motion passes by unanimous vote. The next item is item 3.01, Service Awards. The school board annually hosts a service awards program to recognize employees who have devoted years of service to this school system. Benchmarks of 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and 50 years are recognized. Employees were honored at a reception ceremony prior to the board meeting tonight. The superintendent and I will award service pins to the honorees. On behalf of the school board, thank you for your service. As I mentioned during the ceremony, collectively you represent 1,980 years of service. So thank you for helping to build the foundation and establish the culture for St. Charles Parish Public Schools. At the conclusion of the service award recognitions, we will take a short recess to allow those who would like to leave to do so. Thank you.
Please come forward when I call your names. 20 years of service, Mr. Kevin Barney. Miss Mindy Baudouin. Miss Vicky Bergeron. Miss Mary Brashear. Miss Helen Cannon. Miss Darlene Carter. Miss Colleen Charles. Miss Wendy Chauvin. Miss Kim Coley. Miss Misty Cunningham. Miss Shannon Diodene. Miss Cynthia DePuma. Miss Rhea Dufresne. Mr. Robert Fisher. Miss Lori Hogan. Miss Lawana Jackson. Miss Jeannie Johnson. Miss Barbara Kinney. Miss Rhonda Luquette. Miss Carol Matisse. Miss Regina McMillan. Miss Victoria Milligan Dorsey. Ms. Dorothy Mowing. Dr. Kevin Nicholas. Paula Pfister. Allison Pusiger. John Rome. Orvette Smith. Linda Sudam. Vicky Vassmer. Lance Washington. And Brian Young. And now, 25 years of service. Vevlin Adams. Janet Bozier. Lydia Evans. Dolores Hooper. Gloria Ingram. Deborah James. Melanie Kramer. Joy Loga. Tracy McCready. Kurt Miniweather. Lasan Porter. And Rhonda Schecksnyder. "30 years of service." Melinda Bernard. Marilyn Fauché. And Wayne Gasson. And 40 years of service, Betty Langley.
Love you, beautiful Betty.
Again, congratulations and thank you for your service. We'll now take a short recess. For those that want to leave, may do so at this time. Okay, we'll resume the business portion of our meeting. Item 4.01, August 20th, 2018, committee meeting minutes, and August 22nd, 2018, board meeting minutes.
Move approval.
We have a motion by Mr. Robichaux, seconded by Mr. Smith. Any discussion? Please cast your vote. That motion passes by unanimous vote. Item 4.02 is selection of school board liability insurance. The board purchases liability insurance to protect the district from claims brought against St. Charles Parish Public Schools by third parties. Coverage is provided for general liability, auto liability, educators' legal liability, employment practices liability, sexual abuse and molestation liability, bus physical damage liability, unmanned aerial vehicles, and cyber liability. The liability insurance coverage is set to expire on October 1st, 2018. The Risk Management Department solicits brokers on a 3-year cycle. The district is in year 3 of this cycle. The risk manager recommends continuation of the liability package, aviation coverage, and cyber liability. This agenda item was reviewed at the Risk Management and Insurance Committee meeting of the board on September 17, 2018, and is aligned with Goal C of the board's strategic plan.
Move approval of the renewal of the general liability insurance package, the excess liability, and the aviation liability, and the cyber liability, all through Arthur J. Gallagher, at a
Second.
cost of $390,526.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Mr. Robichaux, seconded by Mr. Savoy. Any discussion on this item? Please cast your vote. That motion passes, all 8 board members voting in favor. Item 4.03 is personnel items. This agenda item was reviewed at the Personnel and Policy Committee meeting of the board on September 17, 2018, and is aligned with Goal B of the board's strategic plan.
Mr. President, I move that we accept the agenda item for personnel and policy tonight.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Savoy, seconded by Mrs. Bernard. Any discussion? Please cast your vote. That motion passes, again with all 8 board members voting in favor. Item 4.04, bid authorization request, purchase of school buses. In a continuing effort to upgrade the parish-owned bus fleet, the Transportation Department is requesting authorization to solicit bids for the purchase of 1 bus equipped for transporting students with special needs and 1 bus equipped to transport Head Start students. This item was reviewed at the Transportation Committee meeting of the board on Monday, September 17, 2018, and is aligned with Goal C of the board's strategic plan.
Move approval. Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Alexander, seconded by Mr. Smith. Any discussion? Please cast your vote. That motion passes with all 8 board members voting in favor. Item 4.05, bid authorization request for the lease purchase of school buses. To upgrade the parish-owned bus fleet, the Transportation Department is requesting authorization to solicit bids for the purchase of up to 5 school buses through a lease purchase agreement. This item was reviewed at the Transportation Committee meeting of the board on Monday, September 17, 2018, and is aligned with Goal C of the board's strategic plan.
Move approval.
Second.
We have a motion by Mrs. Bernard, seconded by Mr. Oquan. Any discussion? Please cast your vote. That motion passes by unanimous vote. Item 4.06, bid authorization request, New Sarpy Elementary School HVAC replacement. New Sarpy Elementary School HVAC replacement is an approved project of the 2018-2019 Long-Range Major Maintenance Capital Improvements Plan. The construction plans for the HVAC replacement have been completed by the engineer and are ready for bid. This agenda item was reviewed at the Capital Improvements Committee meeting of the board on Monday, September 17, 2018, and is aligned with Goal D of the board's strategic plan.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the bid authorization request for New Sarpy Elementary HVAC replacement.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Nakhan, seconded by Mrs. Bernard. Any discussion? Please cast your vote. This motion carries by unanimous vote. Item 4.07, accounts payable for the month of August 2018. Invoices and other financial obligations of the school district are customarily paid weekly. Request for approval of these transactions is normally made to the board monthly. The board must approve expenditures of public funds under its jurisdiction. This agenda item was reviewed at the Finance and Audit Committee meeting of the board on Monday, September 17, 2018, and is aligned with Goal C of the board's strategic plan.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the accounts payable for the month of August 2018 in the amount of $6,735,979.05.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Oquan, seconded by Mr. Robichaud. Any discussion? Please cast your vote. That motion passes with all 8 board members voting in favor. Moving on to closing items. Item 5.01, standing committee reports. Any chair of a standing committee may present a report at this time.
Mr. President, Capital Improvements Committee met on September 17th, Monday. We discussed 3 items. 2 items were for committee only, first being an update on the Dr. Rodney R. LaFont Performing Arts Center. Second item was a report given by Mr. K. Rogers on a new committee that we formed, the Safety Committee, and that committee will be meeting quarterly. Third item was brought to the table tonight. There was a bid authorization request for the New Sarpy HVAC. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Nakhan.
Mr. President, the Personnel and Policy Committee met Monday, September 17th, and we dealt with that, those personnel issues tonight in the board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Savoy.
Mr. President, the Curriculum Instruction and Assessment Committee met on Monday, September the 17th. We had 2 items in our agenda. Both were committee meeting only. The first was a presentation by Mr. Pethe regarding the 2017-2018 high school assessment results. And the second agenda item had to do with our school calendar, discussing whether there would be makeup days based on the couple of days we missed for the recent storm. And it was determined that those days would not need to be made up at this time. That concludes my report.
Thank you for that report, Mrs. Bernard.
Mr. President, the Transportation Committee also met on Monday night. There were 3 items on the agenda, 2 of which were brought to the board table and approved tonight. The 2 bid authorizations to purchase or lease purchase school buses. And the 3rd item was some information presented to the board about the Volkswagen Environmental Mitigation Trust that we are tentatively granted approval to receive some funds that could be used for purchasing school buses.
Thank you, Mr. Alexander.
Mr. President, the Risk Management Insurance Committee also met. We had our normal monthly legal update given to us by our risk manager. We also discussed a selection of the school board liability insurance for a decent amount of time, and we our claims were up, so our premium was up, but Arthur J. Gallagher did a good job getting us to a point to where our premiums were acceptable and our deductible is manageable. That's a good way to put it. But that concludes my report.
Thank you for that report, Mr. Robichaud. The Finance and Audit Committee met on Monday, September 17th, and covered 2 items. One of the 2 items came to the full board during this meeting and was approved, and that was the accounts payable for the month of August 2018. The other item was the committee reviewed matters that were discussed at the last Budget Review Committee meeting. Item 5.02 is the superintendent's report. At this time, call on Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I'd like to congratulate and acknowledge Monique A. Romero. She has been selected as our Director of Child Nutrition. Congratulations. Also, I'd like to congratulate our Cammon Middle School principal, Tamika Green. She has been selected by her peers as this year's St. Charles Parish Public Schools Principal of the Year. Ms. Green is an outstanding representative as principal for principal leadership in this school system. So congratulations, Ms. Green. Each year, the Plant Services and Maintenance Departments take advantage of the summer months to oversee needed renovations of facilities and to work on maintenance and capital improvement projects. Tonight, John Rome, Chief Plant Services and Security Officer, has prepared a report to the board and public on the work that has been accomplished. Mr. Rome.
Thank you and good evening. One of the priorities under the district's long-range strategic action plan, Goal D facilities, is to create a safe, functional, well-maintained, and aesthetically pleasing environment that's conducive to student learning. The superintendent and the board have tasked us with completing capital improvements and major maintenance projects that help us achieve this environment. I'd like to now turn your attention to the PowerPoint presentation to view the above-mentioned projects. Cammon Middle School sidewalk/canopy. You previously saw a before picture. This is an after picture. This sidewalk was a canopy was put in place for egress and ingress of students to move from building to building, obviously beneficial in inclement weather. Carver Early Learning Center, LED lighting retrofit. Once again, a before picture. You can see the increased light levels with the new LED addition. Not only is it bright in the room, but it's a lot more energy efficient. More lumens with less energy, so obviously a green initiative here. Also, studies show that light levels have an effect on students' performance in their educational environment, so we're happy to continue our lighting retrofit throughout the district. Destrehan High School, HVAC cooling tower. The next few slides aren't going to be the most exciting projects. They aren't like when you think of a new building or a new wing, but they're integral to the district in terms of our long-range major maintenance. We do have an obsolescence plan in place where we track all major building systems over the years, and at times their life cycles may expire, and we make those necessary upgrades to preserve the facilities that we've created. So here's the before picture. Here's an after picture of the Destrehan High School cooling tower. Destrehan High School boiler replacement. Scary, right? You can definitely see the transformation here, obviously providing heat to that facility as time for that major upgrade. Destrehan High School bookstore renovation. For many of you that visited the site over the years, the bookstore was in a small nook towards the center of the campus, towards the cafeteria. With the construction of the L building as part of the 2012 bond issue, we were able to create some space in the band room area, and we had some unutilized storage space that we were able to expand the bookstore and move it to a new location, give it more room, but also important, if you will see in this next picture, it's in a location that's very closely located to the front office. So now visitors can come in, check in at the office, go straight to the bookstore, maybe get tickets or purchase products, and we're able to exit without having to walk through the whole student population. So not only more functional, but safer as well. Destrehan High Industrial Arts. Our industrial arts facilities at both schools are starting to show some age as far as the buildings themselves. The programs have been around for a long time. With new initiatives such as Jumpstart, you'll see an emphasis back on the career and technical ed side of the program. So we're starting to make upgrades that fit the instruction that's taking place today. Here's a finished image of that. Obviously, a transformation of that area, a lot more technology being introduced, robotics, things of that nature. It's also important to note that as part of the next phase of the district's long-range strategic action plan under Goal D facilities, we're going to start looking at the future of career and technical education and have a long-range master plan for facilities going forward. Destrehan High School Stadium, you'll see similar images of Hornville as well. This is a periodic type of cyclical event where we need to pressure wash and paint our stadiums to get them ready for all the visitors throughout the fall and the spring sports as well. So after image of the painting of the stadium and pressure washing. This is an image of an industrial arts project under construction at Hornville High School. I like to point this out because our industrial arts teachers every summer are employed by the district to do various projects around the school and other projects that are needed at all schools throughout the district. It's a win-win situation in which we're able to rely on their expertise. We're able to, use the cost-benefit savings of them actually doing the construction of the work and not paying a contractor to do such. And we also get a lot of meaningful work done at the schools. Another thing they do is they service all our equipment in anticipation of the next school year to make sure that we're adequately prepared and safe going into that year with the equipment that we have. Here's a finished image of that industrial arts storage facility that was created at Hornville High School. Hornville High Stadium, very similar to Destrehan, time to upgrade through pressure washing and painting, getting those stadiums ready. And here's the finished product, which we all hope to see you at Friday night. Public service announcement, Destrehan Hornville, Friday night. Hornville High School windows, another life cycle type of item. Windows to the original building in mid-70s, 1975-ish, started to lose their value as far as energy efficiency, but also starting to deteriorate as far as frame and structure and potential leaks. So you'll see some pictures of the roofing project we're currently under. This was kind of done just prior to that as a predecessor to prepare for that roofing project. And here's an after picture. A lot more energy efficient. Actually, we were worried because we changed the configuration of the windows there, and we thought we would have less lighting, but we didn't really see any change in the lighting levels, if not even more, because other windows had a certain tint on it. Now the energy efficiency comes from the actual composition of the window itself. As I mentioned, Hornville High School roof replacement. It's a project we're currently underway with. It is a major bid project. The weather has been a bit of a deterrent with this project. As you can imagine, we're going through our rainy season, but the contractor is working hard. They're currently employing 2 crews right now. And for us, safety is what's of the utmost importance. We have them working through the night, but they are to stop at 5:30 or so in the a.m. to be able to clean up and stop those activities that could cause any kind of concern underneath where they're working. So schedule second, in this case, safety first, and we're plugging along on that project and hope to be finished around late November. Here's another picture of that roofing project in progress, and then another image of the roofing project in progress. What they're concentrating on right now is tearing out the old existing roof, putting down the base ply, the insulation in the base ply, and that'll keep you weather tight or protected. What you see in this picture is actually a cap sheet installation on it, so a protective layer for everything that's underneath. This can be done at the end of the project after they applied all the base layer. Harry Hurst Middle, bleacher painting. We did some refurbishment of the wooden bleachers and some painting in the structure. This bleacher is, should say, gym system has stood the test of time. It's actually original to the old Destran High, I believe, built in the early 1950s. And it's one of those classics, when you think of an old high school gym, and we're glad to be able to preserve it now and into the future. This is an after picture of that painting and improvements there. Harry Hurst Middle School concession stand. This is a before image, just an after image of some pressure washing and painting, just really freshening those facilities which are used by our middle schools as well as our recreation department during the football season. East Bank Head Start, cafeteria floor replacement. This is an example of a site that's an older site that had asbestos in the tile, and we have to go through a formal process with that to abate the tile before it's safe to put in a new flooring system. What's important to point out is asbestos in a tile is not unsafe as long as it's in its undisturbed composition. So people sometimes think asbestos in the schools and they get nervous. As long as the asbestos is not disturbed, it's okay. At the point in time when we go to replace it, we need to take certain precautions. We need to have it tested before we put in a new flooring, and we were able to complete that process at East Bank Head Start. Here's a finish view of the flooring, and as you can see from the picture, it's a ceramic tile installation. I'm going to talk a little bit about flooring more later and the advantages of a ceramic as opposed to a VCT like you saw in the previous image. Lakewood Elementary gym painting. It's a before image. And here's an after image. Obviously freshen the facility up, also lighten the paint to add more light to the facility, give it a new brightness. Lakewood Elementary, Building B, ceramic floor tile replacement, another example of VCT, non-asbestos, but it was still time to be replaced due to water damage and just wear and tear over the years. Here's an after image of Lakewood Elementary, Building B, ceramic floor replacement. E.J. Landry Alternative Center drainage. This is a before image here, and here's an after image. You're not seeing a whole lot in this picture, but the key points to point out is what you're seeing are the downspouts and the gutters and downspouts, I should say, going to subsurface drainage. We had a little bit of a water retention issue in the front of the school, important for two reasons. One, for safety, obviously we don't want to see any ponding water at entrance, but also in protecting that foundation for not keeping that water against the building, issues with foundation, also potential termite issues. So, like I said, sometimes the projects aren't as exciting, but still necessary to preserve our facilities. J.B. Martin deck, this is a before picture. We'll go to the after picture. Well, we extended the deck at J.B. Martin Middle School. This is one of our larger middle schools. The students enjoy eating outside, weather permitting, and we've had a deck installed by industrial arts teachers years ago, and now our maintenance department came in and did a project this summer to extend that deck area, and the students utilize it pretty much every day. J.B. Martin Building B HVAC replacement. Here's a before image, and here's an after image. Obviously much cleaner unit, cleaner application, but obviously the efficiencies that we gain with these new units are beneficial, the reliability as well as the energy efficiency. Mimosa Park, gutters and drainage. Similar to the E.J. Landry situation where we had some ponding water at the front entrance, so we did some guttering, some downspouts to subsurface drainage to evacuate that water to make a much cleaner entry for our visitors. And here's an after image of that project. New Sarpy Elementary, concrete repairs, just kind of a periodic maintenance thing. We notice many of these things as we do our Safe Schools audits. maybe it be cracked floor tile, maybe it be unsafe walkway, things of that nature. We identify those and go ahead and correct those during the summer months. Here's an after image of such project. St. Rose Elementary School covered eating area, kind of like J.B. Martin. Students enjoy being able to go outside and eat in inclement weather. Another one of our sites that has a large student population, so if we provide alternate or additional eating areas, it's very beneficial to move students through those lunch periods. This is a before image, and here's an after image where before the benches were just out in the grass with no covering. Now we have a concreted area with the proper drainage as well as lighting underneath and a covered area. St. Rose Elementary perimeter fencing. This initiative, as you know, started a while back. It really picked up with the 2015 bond issue where we completed our perimeter fencing at all sites. St. Rose was actually one of the first that dates back to our long-range plan for physical education and athletics. And we fenced in their play areas at that point in time. This was kind of a predecessor, early version, and we've recently upgraded it to our newer standard, the black aluminum fence, which are decorative, aesthetically pleasing, also safe and secure. You see the height difference. It's, appropriate to have a higher height as far as keeping that perimeter established at our school sites. St. Rose pupil appraisal, door replacement is a before picture. The after image, obviously aesthetically pleasing, but also safety and security. Our fencing and our front doors are our first points of security and our points of entry for possible intrusion, so we want to make sure those are up to the highest standard. Satellite Center Engineering Instrumentation Lab. Okay, with some changes this summer, the opening of Dr. Rodney Oliphant Performing Arts Center, which you'll see in a bit, we were afforded the opportunity to move some classes to that facility, digital media, interactive media, and TV production. So obviously that space at the Satellite Center became available, and we were able to repurpose that in some productive ways. There was an addition of a health class in another portion of the building that was being used by engineering. And then also an instrumentation class that Hornville and Destrehan High students were taking at Destrehan. We were able to relocate it to the Satellite Center, a more central location there. And with that, we took the old TV production studio, which you see in the control room in this first image. And then the second image, you'll see the renovated area. It became an engineering instrumentation lab. There's a technology area, but there's also an open lab area where they're able to interact and get their hands on with the processes that they have for both of those classrooms. Sheffner Elementary, water tower core replacement, kind of like New Sarpy, kind of like Sheffner. These are our new old schools. They were built in the 1990s, and people still think of them as new, but if you think of 1990 today, you work it out, we're approaching 28, 30 years. So obviously those upgrades at these facilities are necessary to keep us moving forward. So we've done some repairs at Sheffner. Is a before image. Here's an after image. And Sheffner was built shortly after New Sarpy. So you can see where we are in that phase of long-range planning. We're at the New Sarpy HVAC replacement. Hopefully funds available, we'll be able to do that same upgrade at Sheffner in the near future. R.K. Smith Middle School, here's a before image. And then I'll go to the after image of painting. The whole entire school was painting. It's amazing what a little bit of paint will do, really freshens up the facility, a little bit of a lighter color. And it won't mean much to a lot of people, but the type of paint was changed, which is important to us because the original paint of the facility was a bit of a epoxy mix that was very, very hard to wipe clean. And when you painted, you have to paint a whole wall. You couldn't just paint a spot. So that was presented some challenges to maintaining it as well as to the school custodians who would try to touch up. This is more of a semi-gloss style paint that can be freshened up as we go along. So we think we got a better product going forward. RJVL Elementary sidewalk, it's a before picture, but you don't see anything because the sidewalk's not there. Let's look at the after image. Okay, now you see the sidewalk that runs along the side of the building, coming out of the exit doors of the building and along the play area. Really multiple purposes here. One for evacuation routes, for fire drills and fire emergencies, things of that nature. So obviously important safety-wise, but also allows for handicap access to some of our play areas, which is very important to us as well. Floor replacement, Alamans Elementary, Destrehan High School, Hornville High, Harryhurst Middle, Lakewood, J.B. Martin, New Sarpy, and Sheffner. I'm sure I forgot about a few. But point being is that we do this every summer. We do floor replacements throughout the district, many identified through our Safe Schools audits, some through our principals' capital improvements, and just some on our long-range major maintenance list. But, flooring is obviously a big component of the building. It can be involved in, you don't want to have any type of safety issues, so it's important for us to upkeep and maintain our flooring, and there was some type of flooring replacement at all these sites throughout the summer. And here's an after picture. You'll see in many of our classrooms, we go into vinyl back carpet squares and the benefits of those, the ease of replacement to pull up one tile, replace it with a new one, vinyl backing to stop leaks and leaching of any stains that are there. So a lot of benefits to the vinyl back carpet squares for our classrooms. Parking lot striping at many sites, Albert Cameron, Destran, Hornville, Luling Elementary School, Mimosa Park, Norco, and St. Rose. This is another cyclical thing that is often a result of our Safe Schools audits. As we look at those sites and do the auditing, we want to make sure that our signage and our striping is adequate for those parking areas, and all of these sites were upgraded this year. And here you'll see an after picture. Destran High School, Hornville High School, and Satellite Center ADA improvements. Just to mention a little bit about this, the district in the last year went through a CTE MOA monitoring of our career and technical education programs. I know audits never sound good, but this audit was a good one. It was a very productive audit in which auditors from the state came in, looked at our facilities as far as accessibility and equal access to all of our areas, not just the career and technical education areas. They looked at the whole campus or the whole facility, and they opened our eyes to some things, and it was a much-needed boost to give us the impetus to go ahead and make the corrections to bring us to current code and to provide, the access needed for our special needs visitors, students, staff, a much-needed addition, and we're glad we went through the process. So here's a before, and I'll show you several after pictures. This is a picture of restroom improvements at Destran High, whether it be additional sinks that meet ADA requirement, that have the proper distances for accessibility. There's a lot of projects of this nature. ADA improvements, it's a handicap stall in the far back of the image. Hornville High, ADA improvements. It's an ADA accessible sink, whereas the sinks in that area were not before. Hornville High ADA improvements, that we did a total rearranging of the whole configuration of the restroom to make those adequate stall spaces for ADA compliance. When we look at ADA compliance in these old buildings, obviously they were built to a different standard, and they do give you some leeway there, depending on what's the nature of the accessibility. But sometimes you still have to provide that access, even though they know the facility was built as an older site under different code. And I point this out at Hornville because sometimes we had to get creative. Hornville High, the way the auditorium was structured, it didn't have proper ADA access to the stage. But certain challenges were brought forth because the entry areas to the stage were both also part of corridors for exiting. So you say, we'll just put a ramp in. Well, that ramp would violate the fire marshal egress. So we had to get creative and think of ways how we could gain access to that without tearing down the whole auditorium, if you will. So the district has in its possession portable handicap lifts that are utilized throughout the district on an as-needed basis, and we submitted this as a corrective action for when we needed a handicap lift. We have it on demand and available for Hornville High School. So that shows you that, there's more than one way to skin a cat, if you will, and we were able to save the district some money and some time in the sense that we were able to make the accommodation with something we already had. And I've served as a model for this picture right here, and I can attest to it, it does work. Dr. Rodney Oliphant Performing Arts Center, I have several images associated with the Performing Arts Center, and we'll also have a video to show you here in a bit. But just a few things to point out with the Performing Arts Center before we get to that video. This first image you're looking at is a video of the electronic message boards. We believe it's going to be a very nice addition to the facility to promote things that are going on at the facility, district messages, but also it could be used at certain points in time if there's any emergency information that we need to get out to our school system employees or even district-wide employees. So I think with the location, the sign's going to be very advantageous to us. Dr. Rodney Oliphant Performing Arts Center. This is our outside irrigation or rain garden, I should say. It does help with irrigation. It's a green initiative, if you will, in that regard, but also a nice gathering and seating area on the exterior of the facility for patrons of that facility. Here's an image from the lobby of the facility. It gives you a good representation of the style of the building, that modern industrial look, very clean lines, very professional facility, and it also gives you a glimpse at our tribute area to the building's namesake. Dr. Rodney Oliphant Performing Arts Center, there's a view from the second floor, seeing those clean lines, seeing the glass, quite an impressive view looking out at our community center across the street, the parish's community center, I should say. Dr. Rodney Oliphant Performing Arts Center. This is a picture or an image of the hallway. This just gives you a small representation. The building is loaded with modern technology. It's truly state-of-the-art. This is a TV wall, if you will, that can show individual images or multiple images across to promote messages for performances that may be going on in the various performance spaces. So it just gives you a small glimpse of things that go on there, TV production studio, the lighting, the sound, so forth and so on. Very, very technical. And here's an image from the back of the balcony. When the seats are in, there won't be a bad seat in the house, I promise. The views are amazing, and we look forward to using this facility, well into the future. And I will say I'll give the architect and design team a lot of credit, because you're looking at over 1,300 seats in totality when it's done, with some additional if you use the orchestra pit. And like I said, there's not a bad seat in the house. It's a very intimate setting for that number of seats, so they did a tremendous job with that. Without further ado, we have a small video that shows the construction process of that facility and goes into our ribbon cutting ceremony. As you can tell, the magic, spirit, and grandeur of the event facility speak for itself. The only thing I would add is a huge thanks to past and present superintendents, the board, staff, and the community for allowing us to provide a world-class facility for our students now and into the future. With that being said, that concludes that portion of the presentation, but I do want to make some acknowledgments before I conclude. As you see here, a picture of our maintenance staff at our maintenance facility. We could not achieve all this work throughout the summer with just contractors alone. Much of the work, if not most of it, is done by our own employees. You'll see our school due work orders process for the fiscal year of 17-18 was over 10,000. School due work orders for the summer months alone, almost 2,000. District custodians worked approximately 25,000 hours. Summer student workers worked approximately 2,560 hours, and our industrial arts teachers, as I mentioned earlier, worked over 2,000 hours to achieve all of these projects. That's going to conclude my report, but I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge my staff that's here and unable to be here tonight that helped achieve these projects in this environment for our students. Here with us today, we have from my staff, Mr. Andy Meir, Project Manager. Mr. Cade Rogers, Administrator of Safety, Security, and Athletics. Mr. Kevin Barney, Administrator of Maintenance. And some additional staff not with us tonight, probably because they're working on some of these projects. Mr. Terry Batiste and Mr. Terry Dufresne, our maintenance managers. Ms. Teresa P.T. and Kathy Carroll, our senior secretaries. And also, I'd like to thank Ms. Stephanie Staub and the tech department. I think they spent many nights at the Performing Arts Center as well as other projects over the summer. Departments of distribution, thank you, child nutrition, and as well as transportation. Once again, that concludes my report. I appreciate the support of the board, the superintendent, and district administration in providing this environment for our students.
John, I have one question.
Mhm.
Obviously, you guys have done a considerable amount of work to ensure that we are an energy-efficient operation,
Yes, sir.
including the changing of classes and all that sort of thing. I'm wondering whether or not we have explored the possibility of incorporating solar energy into our operation, and if not, then what we'll probably need to start looking at what the possibilities are with solar energy and whether or not solar energy has any possibilities for us as a school district in terms of conserving energy and reducing energy costs.
Absolutely. I appreciate the question. And as you know, the board kind of tasked us with going through a green initiative. I know Mr. Smith as well as others through the years with the Capital Improvements Committee, Mr. Savoy, Mr. Knockham, amongst others. But you really have a conscience, towards that green initiative and, having energy efficient buildings that are friendly to our environment. And the maintenance department, along with the physical plant staff, have taken those certain initiatives that you talked about, whether it be energy efficient equipment, whether it be sustainable materials and flooring and things of that nature, energy management. But we've also started to explore in solar, but we obviously have a lot more opportunities. It's a big world out there in that realm. But just to give everybody a small feel or a small sampling of what we started to do, we started using solar on gates and entryways, fencings and things of that nature, many that are in remote locations. We actually have some examples of solar parking lot lighting right now that we utilize. At DeSalmons Elementary is a project I believe we might have shared with y'all in the previously, where all of the parking lot lighting, where we didn't have power going out to some of these remote locations, we were able to put up the proper satellite equipment to harness that solar energy. So we are starting to get there. We're just scratching the surface, I believe. I think our next look needs to be is to whether we want to, add the solar panels, as you may see on someone's houses, to a facility within the district to recoup those energy benefits or possibly get some type of rebate back. So I think that's kind of going to the next phase, and we'll certainly keep that on the agenda. But we're pushing the green initiative now and into the future as well.
You don't have to respond to this, but just maybe you can at another one of our committee meetings or something. But Also, if we could take a look at what the grant possibilities are for exploring and going into green initiatives and so forth, because I think there's some money out there that we could probably capitalize on, even if it's not a district-wide project. If we maybe want to look at it on a smaller scale, using a building or a single building or whatever. But anyway, maybe as we move along, maybe you could give us a report on that, maybe at another one of our committee meetings.
Absolutely, we'll do
I think
that.
that the benefits of solar energy and the advancements of solar energy right now is really at a point where we probably need to be taking a look at it seriously.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Before we move on, I'd just like to compliment the maintenance department and the plant services department for an excellent report, but also for all the hard work that you did. We are the envy. Our buildings, our campuses, our facilities are a source of pride for our school system, and we are the envy of many school systems, not only in Louisiana, but around the country. So thank you so much for your hard work. Nice job. And also your desire to see where we can improve. Thank you. So, Battle on the River. It's one of the greatest rivalry football games in the country. On Friday, this Friday, September 21st, the Destrehan Fighting Wildcats will visit the Hornville Fighting Tigers for the 2018 Battle on the River. Kickoff is set for 7 p.m., and I encourage everyone to arrive early and try to carpool when you can. Gates to the stadium will open at 5 p.m., and tickets are $8 both in advance and at the gate. RVs are not permitted on campus. Also, don't forget that the bag protocol will be in place, and only see-through bags or bags smaller than 8.5 by 11 inches will be allowed. Tobacco and tobacco products are prohibited. For more information leading to the big game, visit the district's website. It's sure to be a great one. It will be live streamed, and I hope to see you there. As Ms. Bernard indicated earlier, because of the extra minutes that are built into the school calendar, there will be no need to make up the 2 days missed due to Tropical Storm Gordon. And finally, there will be no school for teachers and students on Monday, October 15th and Tuesday, October 16th. Classes will resume on Wednesday, October 17th. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Madam Superintendent. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Robichaux, seconded by Mr. Smith. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. We stand adjourned.